There are no shortcuts to building wealth today. It takes time, effort, sacrifice, and diversification. But today, diversification means something different than it did in the past. You deserve a more secure way to protect and grow your wealth. At Delta Harbour, we take this to heart. Our mission is to help by inviting you to add physical gold and silver to your wealth strategy. Book a free consultation today and let us show you how to protect and grow your wealth through the ownership of physical gold and silver. Let us show you the Delta difference. Hey everyone, welcome once again to Hard Money. Darren Long is here. John Scholes is here. We are good to have you along. Lots to cover today. I will recap what we talked about last week because this is coming up on June 12th, our show right here on Hard Money. It is the Ask Them Anything contest. How do you take advantage? How do you win something? Here's what you do. You go to the YouTube channel, just search Delta Harbour Assets. You click subscribe. You watch the latest YouTube video and you ask some questions. One question, 101 questions, whatever you want. Ask some questions. You will now be in the running for a 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. That is what you can win. Trust me. Do this. If you've never held a silver bar in your hand, it's addictive. You'll get this and you'll say, you know what, maybe these guys are right. Maybe I should open a hard assets portfolio. It's a great thing to have, and you can have one, a 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. YouTube, subscribe, Delta Harbour Assets, super simple. Reaching out by phone, you can do that. That number, as you know, probably by now, I'm going to give it to you in a sec here. Memorize it, 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbour.com. That's harbor with the U because it's all about you, and we live in Canada as well, so deltaharbour.com. Darren, this week, we were just chatting before we got started here. You have been busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. There's so much to cover on the show. We're going to be talking to a good pal of yours, Asif Khan, about real estate after the first segment. So that's on the way. So just hang on for that. But we always start the show with a bit of a recap. How you doing, pal?
Well, John, it's been a good week. We've seen some ups and downs in the market, some buying opportunities we'll talk about today. It's been amazing. Not much. I mean, to the new buyer, they might not have even noticed the fact that silver came down just a tiny little bit. But for those that have been in line and waiting, it's been great to see people just pile in one after the other.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the tail end of this week, we've not been able to stop. I was on the phones last night until about 10 o'clock at night with clients trying to get everybody organized and into the market. So really, really great situation overall. And a lot of people waking up, listening to the show, a lot of feedback this week, and contest. It's been great. Our YouTube channel is alive and flying. Our goal is to keep it really simple. We're just looking to get our subscriber base up. And obviously, we're willing to give away a nice 10-ounce bar for that. So head over to the website to see the contest details, or to our YouTube channel under Delta Harbour. But the week that was, John, silver and gold, as you know, and talking over the last couple of weeks, they breached really crucial points. Gold above 1900 and silver above 28. Early in the week, around the 1st of June, the price of silver actually migrated up to 28.50 plus, and it looked, as we said, that there could be two closes above 28.50, which would produce 29. We failed to hold 28.50. It fell back down. In fact, last night, as we taped this show on Friday, the price of silver actually fell in the overnight hours down to as low as almost $27 an ounce, just a bit above that, providing an ample opportunity for those people looking to get into the market. And now, as we tape the show here, back up to around 27.75, expected to reach back up towards 28. But this ongoing little bit of volatility is nothing more than a buying opportunity. Yeah. And the warning signs, as we spoke about on last week's show, are definitely all in place, and we expect to see much more of that. So we're going to talk silver, gold today, a little bit about this notion of do what I do, not what I say, as a theme goes. And we'll tell you more about what that means to us, because there's a lot of things that are being done right now, but the opposite is being said. That's the headlines-driven market we live in. We're starting to see signs that the credit market is slowly starting to get crunched, and it'll be the individuals that end up suffering because of it. So welcome aboard to those that were astute enough to get gold and silver in their portfolio and have that first conversation about hard assets. We want to welcome everybody to Delta Harbour.
Again, 1-866-335-8645. Anytime, reach out to Darren, Rob, Roy, a member of their team. They're fantastic. They're waiting to hear from you, and they can have a nice, polite, simple conversation about getting that hard asset portfolio up and running for you as well. DeltaHarbor.com. 2 words, pal. Stress test. Give me some details about it this week.
Well, in the real estate market, we'll talk a little bit later in the show in segments 2, 3, and maybe 4, if we can keep Asif here. I'm going to have a good friend, a colleague. I've known him for a very long time, since my high school days. And he is one of Ontario and Canada's leading real estate agents. His name is Asif Khan. He is a fantastic individual when it comes to knowledge and expertise in real estate. We're going to have him on the show today. And we're going to ask him about this stress test, because this, again, is a matter of do as I do, not as I say, where the markets are saying, look, we're going to let the real estate run hot because the federal budget had very little in it to combat or slow that market. One of the things that did occur is that the stress tests have been put in place now to check against new home buyers, existing home buyers, those looking for mortgage, and make certain that they're capable of holding a mortgage even if the rates go above 5%. So that is certainly going to quell the buying pool somewhat, John, but we know this is a speculative real estate market, that a lot of this buying has been people looking to buy, grow their equity very quickly. You know, the get rich quick crowd is there, and some who are very astute and understand and have expertise in this arena have done very well. But it's FOMO. It's fear of missing out. The last in is the first to get hurt in this market, and this stress test is part of it. So it will quell the first-time home buyers. I mean, let's face it. Who can afford to put down 20% on an average $1 million home in GTA? Yeah. You just can't. No new family that's having a child or thinking of raising a family, they're new to their careers, has $200,000 just willingly sitting around in a bank account. It's never happened in history. It's a sign, like we said last week, a shot across the bow, if you will, the warning signs that people need to be diversified. They need to hold assets that protect their wealth, not to punish their wealth. Yeah. And real estate right now, it's on that kind of cusp of being in a position where it might fall down a little bit. But this stress test is one aspect of the signs that we're seeing, the warning signs that are out there, that the economy is going to come into a zone of slowing down, that there is a tipping point, that the cycle is changing. And hard assets is what we use for insurance. It's what we use to protect purchasing power. And this stress test is another sign that although there's very little being done right now in terms of quelling this feverish pace and slowing the housing market down a bit, this is one of the things that we see as being a sign there is more weakness ahead. There is more possible weakness in all markets that lie ahead, and we want to be positioned to correctly take advantage of it. So stress test is telling us, listen, better see the writings on the wall, better take those warning signs into account, buy some gold and silver.
Again, Asif Khan's coming up in the second segment for a couple to hang with us here, and Darren will be throwing a bunch of questions his way, so stick around for that. Reaching out in the meantime, 1-888-335-8645. Let's at least get into this one in the last minute or two of this segment. Darren, the Fed easing off buying corporate debt. Give me some broad strokes on that before we take a break.
Well, at the end of every cycle, John, it's the same thing. Credit at the very front end of the cycle becomes abundant. We see it flourish in all respects of life, from corporate to individual, small business, everything. Everyone gets a little piece of something. We've seen it here in Canada in the last 12 months during the pandemic. Sure. And that has to end. At some point, the credit crunch comes. That credit dries up. What are the warning signs? Well, we talked about them last week. We see insider selling, heavily insider selling in corporate land, which means you're going to see sooner or later the feds in the US and Canada and other places slow the amount of buying that they're doing of corporate debt. And that's exactly what happened this week. The Fed announced that, or indicated at least they're leaning towards slowing the amount of that type of debt they want to own, which means they want to slowly wean people off of this magic of, teat that's been leaking, gorgeous credit milk forever. And, it's a funny way to say it, but it's the truth. We've gotten used to this, this cow that feeds us completely, and that's the feds, that's the central banks, that's the bankers of the country. They want to wean us off of that. So the credit crunch is going to come. When it does, guess who's left holding the basket? The individual, the taxpayer. And we're going to suffer because of it, because so many people are still focused on seeing the stock market go higher, put their money in there, the real estate market go higher, put your money in there, and not enough people are focused on balancing their wealth. So we'll talk with Asif in the second segment about that. He's the owner and realtor at Remax Prime Properties. He's a broker. He's owner of the year in Canada for Remax. He is in the Remax Hall of Fame. He's a radio show co-host, and I'm excited to have him back on to talk about it in the next segment.
And we'll do that. But first, we got to take a short break. Some contact for you to reach out to 1-888-335-8645 and deltaharbor.com, harbor with the U, deltaharbor.com. We'll continue Hard Money right here on Sauga 960. And welcome back to Hard Money. Good to have you along on the show today. You have a chance to win some stuff. You bet what you do from Hard Assets here. And here's what's going to happen with Delta Harbour. You want to go to their YouTube channel, just simply search Delta Harbour Assets, subscribe to the channel, watch their videos, ask some questions. That will put you in the running for a 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint Silver Bar. Ask them anything. And we're going to start answering those questions on the June show, about a week or two from now. June 12th show is when that's going to happen. So it's really simple. There's your instructions. YouTube, subscribe, watch the videos, ask questions, just that simple. And reaching out now by phone, 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com, harbor with a U, because this show is all about you. The hard assets are all about you and expanding your portfolio. But Darren, I digress. Let's get to it. You have a good friend of yours. You've known him for years. We're going to talk a little bit about real estate. Asif Khan, owner of Remax Prime Properties. Darren, take it away, brother.
Well, I do want to make note of the fact that I have an old friend on the show today, somebody I actually haven't talked to in quite some time. So catching up is something that I value. And it's certainly, as it relates to our business and the shape of things that we discuss, important to our client base. We talk about hard assets all the time. We talk about gold and silver, but this is the first instance in this new show, the Hard Money Show, where we've had a real estate professional on. So I want to welcome Asif Khan to the show. Asif is the broker owner at Remax, and it's called Remax Prime Properties in Markham, Ontario. And in fact, Asif is a professional in his arena. I mean, and an expert. He has a long-standing commitment to excellence with his team. He's been involved in real estate for a long time, and I've been meaning to have this interview and to talk to Asif on the show for a long time. Our paths finally cross, and you are in the real estate, in the Remax Hall of Fame. You've crushed a ton of records over the years. If I'm not mistaken, you were the Remax broker owner of the year in Canada. And you have obviously had your finger on the pulse for real estate for a very long time. So welcome to the show. See if it's great to finally reconnect with you, have the opportunity to speak.
Hey, Darren, no, it's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to the chat.
Well, let's get started with that then, because I think it's important kind of to set the tone and get a sense of what we think is happening in the marketplace right now. And essentially, I think that the very first simple question that we could ask really revolves around what's happened over the last kind of year and a half in real estate. We went from having this great real estate debate about where the peak might come, and many people had thought 2017 spring was that exact peak moment where I guess a lot of selling happened. There were peak moments I saw within my own region of South Simcoe at the very tip of York region, a lot of high points. And lo and behold, a few years later with the pandemic and the onset, we have what has conceivably been a historic moment for real estate. Can you characterize that in any way, shape, or form, or is there a way for you to express to our listeners what that last year has been like for you and your team?
Yeah, and you know what, heading into the pandemic, there was a lot of uncertainty. What was going to happen with our market? What would job losses look like, and how would that translate into possible, home ownership changes or people having to sell their homes in order to survive? What we saw was the complete opposite. Demand started to peak. And the reason was people were stuck at home, and they realized that They needed either more space, they needed a different space, they needed to be where there was more land, where they could entertain their kids, or even just have, outdoor recreational spaces because we weren't traveling. So demand started to spike. And that combined with interest rates remaining low caused a huge shift in our mix. And by that, I mean, people were leaving condominiums and smaller homes and moving into larger homes. And when you look at the average price point and how much the average price point has appreciated over the last year and a half, it's not a true reflection of what's happening in the market because of the shift in the mix. Now, if you're selling a lot less of the $600,000 price tag item and a lot more of the $1.2 million price tag item, obviously the average price is going to appreciate. So it does not mean that home prices across the board went up 30%. It just means that the average price went up 30%. And that's what's happening right now. Demand is very, very strong. Supply is very limited. We have had probably record lows in supply over the last little while, and that's contributed to price points appreciating through multiple offers and bidding wars.
Well, there's been lots said both on on the pros and cons of buying right now. We'll get into that in a moment. And certainly we take this from many perspectives. Our show about investing obviously deals with the speculative realm of real estate and other hard assets. But that being said, we had the federal budget more recently, and it didn't do too much to put people's mind at ease for those that are looking to buy a home as their primary place of residence. And my question to you would be, where do you think real estate prices go from here? And I mean, you can give us any timeline you like. Obviously, we see threats such as inflation creeping in. We know the bond market's moving. We're off the lowest low of interest rates as far as mortgage rates are concerned. But is there more to come, in your opinion? I mean, obviously, we're not going to hold you to it, but it would be awesome to know what your thoughts are based on what you see personally inside of this particular arena.
So what we're seeing when you evaluate supply and demand and the sheer strength of demand right now compared to when you're looking at supply and it being limited, this market will continue until we have more supply. So price growth, appreciation, it's going to continue until I would say 2023, 2024. There's no end in sight. And,
Wow.
The government does address certain things through increased taxes or trying to make it harder for people to purchase, with the more stringent stress test, but it does nothing to address what we need the most, and that's supply. And if people are looking for affordability, they're looking to, get into home ownership and be able to, get in for a reasonable price point. They're either going to have to look outside of the GTA or they're going to have to look at condos because right now, without supply, without the government stepping in and increasing supply or making it easier for builders to build homes, maybe speeding up building permits, that's the only thing that's going to really slow down the market or even make things more affordable.
All right. So in 1 minute or less before we break for segment, and we'll continue this on after we break, somebody that's thinking of speculating right now, then perhaps still has plenty of opportunity based on the fact that we don't see much relief in terms of supply. Is this a fair assumption?
It is. And, when you look at speculators, the reason they're coming to Canada, one, the Canadian dollar is very low compared to outside. And what you start to see from speculators is they want to go where there's going to be price growth. Toronto is a world-class city, and compared to other world-class cities like New York, Paris, London, we're still priced relatively low. So lots of room for growth for speculators, and that's why they're flocking here.
Okay. Well, listen, if you don't mind staying with us to see if we have a few more questions we'd love to ask after we come back from the segment. I'll throw back to John. And when we come back, let's talk a little gold and silver and how that fits into the real estate realm. More questions, more answers, and hopefully we'll get where we're meaning to go, which is to understand how best to fit into this world of hard assets and make real estate, gold, silver, other types of hard assets part of your wealth strategy.
Guys, let's take a short break. We got to do that, Tim. We'll come back. We'll talk more with Asif Khan. Wonderful stuff. In the meantime, here's what you want to do to get on board the contest with Delta Harbour Assets. Go to their YouTube channel, search Delta Harbour Assets, subscribe to the YouTube channel, watch the videos, ask some questions. You will then be on the running for the Ask Them Anything contest, a 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. Could be yours. It is just that simple. Again, YouTube is how you do that. DeltaHarbor.com, Delta Harbour with the U to reach out, and 1-888-335-8645. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to go. Asif Khan is going to stick around, talk more real estate here on Hard Money on Sauga 960. All right, welcome back to Hard Money. John Scholes along with Darren Long and Asif Khan, his good pal, talking real estate. We're going to continue this conversation, reaching out anytime to talk to Darren about getting your hard asset portfolio up and running. Really simple, 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com. And June 12th, looking forward to this, the Ask Them Anything show here on Hard Money. That is a chance. That is where you can have a chance to win that 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. How do you do it, Scholes? How do I get on board? Simple. Go to their YouTube channel, subscribe to that YouTube channel, watch the videos, ask some questions. That's all you got to do. You'll be in the running for that 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. You got to hold this thing in your hand. It's going to be really cool. That's coming up on June 12th. So go and subscribe right now. Darren, let's get back to talking real estate. Go ahead.
All right. We just did a fantastic segment, Asif, and lots of questions, and we need answers. And obviously, you're giving us some feedback about the marketplace. One of the things you touched on in the first segment was the fact that you believe, and you mentioned this about non-domestic buyers, speculators, investors, that it is a ripe opportunity for them still to be coming into the market and buying up homes. And obviously, there is the concern that people need to live in these dwellings. But the biggest problem right now that you feel we face is that lack of supply. I'd ask and rephrase the question, what do you think about domestic speculators or domestic buyers right now that maybe want to have 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 more properties in their wealth strategy? Are they getting the same opportunity as somebody from India or somebody from China or somebody from outside of the country right now?
That's a great question, Darren. And if we look at the last year and a half, what you're going to see is it was all domestic traffic because the borders have been closed. So we did not have a lot of foreign investment coming in over the last year and a half. It's all been domestic. And what happened at the beginning of the pandemic was that the stocks were taking a hit. And a lot of people were pulling their money out of stocks and putting it into real estate because it's a tangible asset that they can touch and feel, similar to gold and silver. This is where they want to put their money. They felt it was a safer investment, and it was a great investment. So we had a lot of people purchase additional properties, recreational properties. They weren't able to travel. So there was a lot of domestic buyers that had saved up a lot of money from working from home, not traveling, not buying, different things because all the stores were closed. There was a lot of disposable income that was available for them to purchase other properties. And so there were a lot of sales of cottages. I mean, look at the cottage country. Price appreciation has been incredible. And even if you compare it to properties in Toronto or in the GTA, cottage country was through the roof. They had 30, 40 people lined up to purchase cottages, which is very, very unusual for them. We're used to that in downtown Toronto or the core. They were not used to that up there. So again, It was all domestic traffic. It was not necessarily speculators, but people that wanted these additional properties to rent out. We have a huge shortage in rental properties in the GTA. So it's a great way for them to get into the market, get into in real estate investments.
Well, that being said, we all here at Delta believe in the idea of balance. Obviously, diversification plays a role in developing a wealth strategy. And I would be remiss if I didn't see that my bias towards real estate really is only existent in the sense that if it's all or nothing, I'm against that. So I don't like all my eggs in one basket. I want to spread that wealth around. And so, of course, we talk about the idea of owning hard assets, tangible hard assets in land and cottage countries. Maybe now we're just talking about in other homes, rental properties, income producers. But we also talk about gold and silver, of course, and that's our mainstay here at Delta. And of course, our clients all own gold and silver, and that's something that they believe into to the nth degree. As a person of interest in real estate, a professional, expert, somebody at the top of their game, is well known in the industry, I'm obviously inclined to ask this, and I'm interested in my own personal reasons for asking. Do you yourself feel gold and silver are tangible assets that should be held like real estate, and do you own any yourself?
I actually don't, but I do know people that do. And, gold and silver have been fantastic assets to purchase. And look at the sheer strength of the appreciation that they have shown over the last 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, historically, gold is probably the one asset that people have traded with, they've invested in, in the history of investments. And I think anything that people can touch and feel and hold on to, that's going to be worth a lot to them because it's an investment that they can actually hold on to.
Well, again, and that begs the next question. People listening are obviously wondering whether it's for them or not. I think a lot of time we get that question. Real estate professionals will get that question. I'm an average guy. Is owning a second home for us? Is it for my family? Is it for that? Describe to me, if you will, if you don't mind, the pre-pandemic demographic that was speculating in real estate or wanting to buy new homes outside of the family and primary, and then the post. Now that we've been in it for a year and a half and we're coming to some type of normalcy again, what does the demographic look like now?
Well, the people that were owning investment properties and having real estate portfolios, they were usually older. I mean, you're talking about boomers and such. Whereas right now, it's for everybody. And the way I explain it is, it's like the game of Monopoly. If you look at the game of Monopoly and what the premise is, it's to buy more and more land, put houses or hotels on them, and then rent them out and collect money off the rent. So you're building a retirement strategy with something like having real estate assets. And by that, I mean, owning strategically, you want to be able to replace your income in the future. So if you want to have, $50,000-$60,000 in income in the future, what you do is you put a portfolio together. You put it, what I usually do is put 5 or 10-year plans together for my clients, and then tweak them as we go. And it's just, what do you want out of this at the end of the day? And if it's a retirement strategy, how much income do you need to maintain the lifestyle that you have right now? And if it's 50,000, if it's 60,000, let's build a portfolio that's going to get you there. So it might be one property every couple of years, a property every year. It just depends on your financial abilities. And unlike Monopoly, you don't need all the money because the bank will lend you money in life.
Of course. Yes. I mean, I believe in the concept of other people's money. I think it's how people become wealthy. Shying away from it is certainly something many people do, and I get it. But the idea of other people's money and how to use it properly falls far outside of the realm of owning a credit card or something of that sort. It is part of a strategic wealth plan that's put together. And I think it's a valuable lesson to learn. As far as gold and silver are concerned, as a hard asset, we want these in our portfolio, and we want to have and encourage tangible hard assets. And this is why we share some of the exact same reasons for having this inside a portfolio. And I'm glad to hear you say that you do look over the long term and you do think about that from that perspective. I guess if you don't mind, Asif, one more segment. We'd love to keep you with our listeners. I know they're going to love this. A couple more quick questions and we'll go to a break here. But when we get back, I want to ask about interest rates and what your team is doing to strategize with the expectation that, of course, in the near term, maybe by end of year, interest rates are going to start going higher, which makes borrowing a little bit more costly. And we have to have a strategy for dealing with that from the sales point, from the standpoint of wealth strategy and things like that. So let's talk about that when we come back, and we'll ask more questions, and we'll get into a few more ideas about real estate and hard assets all in together.
Awesome. Happy to do that.
Guys, let's take a short break. We will do that now. Reaching out, simple, 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com, Harbor with a U, because it's all about you. The show is all about you and building that portfolio of hard assets as well. I want to mention just before we duck out for a short break, the Ask Them Anything contest, a 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar could be yours. YouTube channel, Delta Harbour Assets. Subscribe, ask some questions when you watch those videos. So we'll take advantage of that. Short break and right back at it. This is Hard Money on Sauga 960. All right, welcome back. This is Hard Money. Thanks for sticking around for the show this hour. Reaching out to Darren and his team, 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com. Harbor with a U. You know that by now because it's all about you. There is a contest going on. We're talking about it for the last couple of weeks. We'll continue to do so for the remainder of the show today. The Ask Them Anything contest. This is how it works. First of all, what can you win? A 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. Get started with those hard assets, something you can actually hold courtesy of Delta Harbour. How do you do it? Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, watch their videos, ask some questions. Couldn't be simpler. Again, YouTube video, subscribe, just search Delta Harbour Assets. A little more time here with Asif Khan. Darren, go ahead, pal. Let's take this home.
Well, thanks for that, John. We have been having a great conversation today with Asif Khan from, Asif Khan is the broker and owner of Remax Prime Properties brokerage in Markham, Ontario. He is a Remax Hall of Fame real estate agent. He has his finger on the pulse. He's been fantastic with his time today and answering a lot of questions. And I certainly am not trying to seem standoffish by this question, Asif, but I do want to ask, because people in your position that have success and reach a pinnacle, they strategize, they think ahead of time. You mentioned in the last segment, you're looking with your clients maybe as far out as 5 to 10 years or more in developing their best wealth plan as it relates to real estate. We do the same with gold and silver and how it fits into a person's portfolio with other hard assets. I'm interested in knowing what your thoughts are right now about interest rates. A, do you feel that they go higher by end of year? And B, what is your team's strategy when they do reach they start to move higher? How will you handle that?
Well, I think a great question. And the Bank of Canada has pretty much said that interest rates won't be going anywhere till at least 2024. So there's, that's something that we can rely on, because the housing market has been the driving force behind the Canadian economy since the pandemic started.
Right.
And for them to disrupt that would be a huge mistake right now. So, and I think they realize that. However, that does not mean that the banks will not increase their rates, their lending rates. And what's happened is, if you think about what they just did with the stress test, qualifying people at 5.25%, or the rate plus 2 points, whatever is higher, they're preparing Canadians that if in the event that interest rates do rise, and the rates are not going to get to 5.25% in the next 5 years, but suppose they do, Canadians are going to be able to manage their money. They're being qualified at that already. That has done is taken away a lot of buying power. It's taken away $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 off of the purchase price for Canadians that want to purchase. So on one hand, the government is saying we're going to make it more affordable for you to purchase, but at the same time, they're taking away your buying power. So I don't really think they know what they're doing in terms of these announcements. I don't agree with the 5.25% rate, but it's our banking system has always been very conservative, and that's helped Canadians with homeownership and the very low foreclosure rates that we have, or the power of sale rates that we have. So it's a good thing at the end of the day, in terms of what we can afford and what we, just make sure we don't bite off more than we can chew. But at the same time, it doesn't help affordability.
Sure. Of course, we always talk about affordability. Again, when you're coming at it from an investment perspective, obviously you're dealing with a person who has disposable income. I mean, in that sense, we don't want to beat around the bush. It's not for everyone, and not everybody can afford it. But ultimately, those that can, we're trying to convey a certain understanding of expertise and in terms of the marketplace itself. I think it's been wonderful. I think that people who've owned real estate have, let's hands down, had one of the best runs they've had historically, if not ever. And certainly everything comes to an end at some point. Sooner or later, we'll have maybe perhaps a softer landing. But I think, we've got a lot of rebound happening from the pandemic, a lot of pent up dollars that have not been spent, a lot of high savings in Canada that are going to go into marketplaces. I just think the mentality has to change. So I encourage the mindset that's thinking about raw land development, commercial buildings, thinking about owning a second income producing property. And that goes hand in hand with what we talk about when we're discussing hard assets in general. And obviously infusing gold and silver into that is something that we're going to continue to discuss. So having you on this radio show is inevitably very important to us. But ultimately, I think the question that I want to part on today is, well, and I think I know the answer, is that you obviously make it clear you do believe that hard assets are a valuable part of a personal wealth strategy. And to that end, I think it's safe to say you believe that this is going to continue to go on. It's an opportunity, and that's being presented to people hand over fist. They should take advantage of it.
I agree. Diversification with everything is a good thing. You can't put all your eggs into one basket. We've learned that from, we learned that over the last year and a half, where a lot of people had put all of their money into the stock market. And what they found was when the stock market went down, they lost a lot of money. Having that diversification, having, money in real estate, money in gold and silver, maybe even some money in stocks, it allows you to take advantage of market strengths. And maybe when markets are dropping, you can pull out of those and then invest somewhere else where you can make some money. In the end, these are all long-term plays. You can't watch it overnight and decide to change things around because, owning real estate, if you were to watch it and look at 1 month at a time or 2 months at a time or even a year at a time, you're not doing yourself any justice. And it's the same with gold and silver. You're in for the long run and you're going to make some money.
Well, listen, Asif, you've been very kind with your time today, and I definitely want to thank you. It's been great to catch up with you on a personal level. I hope that we are able to do this more often. I'd like to make it a regular part of updates as this market progresses to get more insight on real estate and hard assets and how they work in your portfolio. Obviously, we love gold and silver. You love real estate. It's a match made in heaven for us. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the quickest way that they can do that, Asif?
They can always call me at 416-985-KHAN. That's 416-985-5426.
All right, we'll put that up on the screen for our podcasts and our YouTube channel. And once again, Asif, thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it. We look forward to hearing from you in the near future.
And I appreciate your time, and thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Take care.
Guys, phenomenal stuff. Thank you so much, Asif. We're going to take a short break. In the meantime, here's how you reach out. 1-888-335-8645. Online to deltaharbor.com. Harbor with you, because this is all about you. And we'll take a short break. Now you're thinking, okay, I've heard about the contest. I want that silver bar, but that is just how you get the ball rolling to getting these hard assets in your possession and expanding your portfolio. How you do it, how it works, we'll cover that after a short break. This is Hard Money on Sauga 960. Welcome back. Still a few minutes to go. Welcome to Hard Money. If you're just joining us, we talk about hard assets on the show, gold and silver, physical nature. A chance to expand your portfolio. And another way you can start, a little head start, is here how you do it. It's the Ask Them Anything contest with Darren and the rest of the guys. Go to their YouTube channel, subscribe to that channel, hit subscribe, watch some videos, ask some questions. What can you win on June 12th? You can win a 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. How's that for a kickstart for your portfolio? So get on board, do that with the YouTube channel, Delta Harbour Assets. All right, Darren, want to thank Asif Khan for the last, 3/4 of the show. Fantastic guy. I know you've been buddies for a long time, but some brilliant insight there too as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's nice to be able to speak with somebody, know that, hey, listen, we're not going to agree on every single point about a marketplace, and find out a little bit more insight about real estate, where it stands. I mean, obviously, there's lots of summary, lots of takeaway from an interview like that. But I think the main thing is that we understand we're playing on the same field here, and that there are some pros and cons to real estate right now in terms of being both speculative, or whether you're a primary buyer who has to move and get into a new home. Obviously, Asif and his team make it very easy to do that. He's an expert in his field. I trust him extensively, and I'm looking forward to working with him here in the near future as the dust settles, so to speak, on this real estate market and this cycle of the real estate market. But more importantly, it's part of hard assets. It's part of what we believe should be involved in all of your wealth. If you're looking at it from a pragmatic perspective and you want to have the best all around wealth preservation strategy, then you have to consider things like land and development and real estate and
Sure.
speculating and owning gold and silver. These are tangible assets, and it's what the wealthy do. And if you want to be part of that, and if you want to protect your wealth, these are things you must consider. Everybody's knowledge has to start somewhere, John. And I know it's a scary world and that a lot of people don't know very much about it, but there are many people that are sitting at home right now thinking about ways to protect their wealth, uncertain about what the future holds. They may be thinking that, hey, listen, I am seeing that insider trading that's happening, all of that stuff that's being sold. And, you know, what happens when I see the owner of a company selling his own shares, like Jeff Bezos selling Amazon shares? I mean, should that get me a little bit alarmed? Sure, it should. Absolutely, it should, because when insiders start to sell their stock, like we've said earlier in the show, it's an important reminder that there's a turn in the cycle, that they expect that there could be lower valuations lying ahead. Valuations for stocks are out of control, the highest they've ever been in history. And it's hard to pick a winner right now. And leaving that to somebody else, leaving that chance to somebody else that you don't trust, I don't think it's the right thing to do right now. So you want to work with experts, and Asif Khan and his team, totally experts in their field of real estate. You want gold and silver, you're coming to Delta Harbour. And as we said, those warning shots, they're going to get more frequent. They're going to come in full force as the next year or so come ahead. If we come out of this pandemic, we've said it the entire time, expect there to be fluctuations, expect there to be a lot of dry powder that gets thrown into the market. But if you're sitting on money right now and you've decided that the last 12 months has been too risky for you to spend, then consider your options. Consider things like gold and silver. Do your due diligence and isolate these options so that you can ask questions. This is a welcoming atmosphere at Delta Harbour, and our team takes good care of people, and we will take all the time that a person needs. I was on the phone last night until 10 o'clock at night, talking with clients who were texting me on my personal cell phone questions about the market, and I was answering them, and I took the time to do all of them, spoke with them at length. But this is the kind of care that we have to give when we're getting back to really dealing with the primary problem that we have in Canada right now, which is people are too passive with their wealth, John. And they have to understand balance is the key moving forward. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't think that because you have the greatest mutual fund in the world that's turned 10% for 3 years, that that's going to continue. You have to make changes and be proactive. You can't sit back. You can't rest on your laurels. And if you've had good return over the last few years, this is the time to refocus and rebalance and think about other things that you can own as a part of your wealth strategy, like hard assets in gold, silver, and the experts who can guide you through that marketplace and make you a part of that team. That's what we think Delta offers, and that's why we bring experts on like Asif Khan. So well done for him to come out here and talk to us, and it's a lot of fun. We enjoy it.
Yeah. DeltaHarbor.com, again, is the website you want to go to, 1-888-335-8645. You know, you mentioned maybe you've done well with that other part of your portfolio. Maybe you've made some money. Okay, so why don't we take some of that money? Now you got a place to start is getting these hard assets of silver and gold. So I want to take a couple minutes with people that are maybe hanging on to this money they've made in that part of the market. And they're going, okay, Darren, how do I take that first step? What do I do to get these physical assets into my portfolio?
Well, the first step is either to use the phone number that's being presented today constantly, or if you want to go to the website, deltaharbor.com, you can sign up for a consultation. Harmless, no obligation. You get a half hour or more of our time. Ask questions. Just make that initial inquiry about what is this all about. Maybe ask some questions about product. Maybe how does that work? Can I take it home? Yes, you can. Yeah. Can I put it in storage? Sure, we have that option as well, insured storage. Can I put it in an RSP or TFSA? That's also an option. Registered accounts are a great way to take advantage of certain tax breaks and incentives that we have. And I'd be remiss and foolish if I didn't say that if you have it within your means to top up your TFSA, do it. If you have it within your means to top up your RSPs, do it. Your spousal RSPs, do it. Use up that space. Take advantage of those privileges that are there that we've had put in place, and recognize that key to moving forward is going to be balanced. There's going to be some ups and downs, and some volatility like we saw this week in the price of silver. But for those that are ahead of the game and not respawning, but rather being proactive, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. This doesn't come around but once in a blue moon. And we've had it twice in the last 15 years. So great time to be in the market. Lots of options moving forward for you. You can ask questions by just going to the website or calling the number to set up a consultation.
And, it's interesting. You mentioned, just improving and expanding your asset base, and not to make it sound like it's a thing meant to be fun, but if you've never actually held physical gold and silver in your portfolio, it's amazing. I mean, this is a reason why people love going on cruises and vacations, because they have all these different assets. They have buffets. They love choice, and this is a wonderful choice if you've never had physical gold and silver. If you've never gone to the vault and audited your holdings, it's a fantastic thing to do. You feel like a shooter. You really do. But I mean, this is something you're going to hold for the long term. You're not going to flip your matrimonial home. You're going to live in it for years and let that build wealth for you. This is kind of the same thing, right?
It is. And we do view metals as a long-term hold.
Yeah.
There are opportunities to buy and sell. It's not day trading. We don't approach it that way. We don't advise that people would also approach it that way. There are other opportunities for people that want to be more speculative or push the envelope a little bit with collateral financing as an option. And we offer that as well. But for the average person, John, this is an exciting time.
Yeah.
You get to hold different types of gold, see different types of gold, silver, and really piece together something that's exciting that you can look at each time and share with your family members and say, hey, look, this is what I have. This is what I own. Most of my stack is in storage, but I've kept a little piece or two here at home or in my safe deposit box just so I can show people. So say, I'm delighted to hold this. Look at it. This is real money. This is something that's been around for 5,000 years. And I think that mentality has to change. It's coming full circle, John. We're getting back to that notion that real money is always and will always be tangible, hold in your hand wealth, which is gold and silver.
DeltaHarbor.com with a U. DeltaHarbor.com with the U is where you want to reach out online. 1-888-335-8645. And one more time as we get out of here, the Ask Them Anything contest happening on the 12th of this month. Simply go to their YouTube channel, subscribe, watch the videos, comment, ask some questions, and you'll be in the running for a 10-ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bar. So get on that, and we'll catch you next time. This is Hard Money right here on Sauga 960.